Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video, I wanted to continue the discussion around player potential in these NHL games, and how it can be improved upon, how it can be tweaked, and how it can be changed. So I have put a video out earlier in the year, or last year, whenever this is going up, regarding changing the potentials, like your medium elite, medium franchise, whatever, to having it just being a number-based system. And some people were for it, some people were against it, and I totally get both sides of the argument. That is not really what I'm going to be talking about here today, but it does kind of continue on that topic of, what can we really be doing better here? What really does make more sense for these games? And this whole video idea actually came to me via 2BC actually. He was talking about it in episode 1 of his Philadelphia Flyers mode franchise, and how nowadays, when there's so many just really high rated players in game, you have so many guys that are 93, 94, 95, that franchise potential out of the draft isn't as special as it may have once been. So is there some kind of room in there that we can maybe have a generational tier? That's kind of what I'm going to be discussing here today. So first of all, I do want to play a clip from 2BC discussing this. It is about 40 seconds in length, so we will watch that, and then I will come back and continue this discussion.
The draft class quality, all right? This setting controls the frequency of a strong draft class occurring. You always get that message around December telling you whether it's going to be a strong draft or not. I don't want to touch that, but I do want to increase the generated prospect quality. This setting controls the quality of prospects generated in the NHL entry draft. I want to put that up to high. The reason being, if you go back to my Utah Yeti series, there was only 2 franchise players over 12 years that came into the NHL. It was Bear Ernie and Jared Vesey. But EA, with their rosters and the overall numbers that they want their players, there are so many franchise players, right? Franchise doesn't mean generational anymore. So I want more franchise players, especially defensemen, because by the time you get to year 8, year 9, year 10, the defensemen are like horrible, man.
So he does make the really good point, especially there right at the end regarding defensemen, and how once you get 10 years into a franchise mode, you're going to be paying $10 million for like an 84 overall defenseman. And again, this isn't totally relating to today's topic, but it is still the case in later years. So let's just go to a team here. A great example here would be the Florida Panthers. So you have Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk, 2 of the best players on the Panthers. They are absolute franchise players for their team. They are going to go down as some of the best players in team history, and I think they do deserve that franchise tag. Same thing goes exactly like a Kirill Kaprizov. Amazing superstar, so electric, but is he a generational talent? I would say probably not for a guy like him. Again, nothing off a guy like Kaprizov, Tkachuk, or Barkov. Fantastic players. I would set them all personally at franchise if there was a generational tag. And we all know the system of what we currently have. Franchise is the best, and it goes down to bottom 6 and then AHL potential. But I think there's room there. For guys that are somewhere in the range of 92 to 94, set them at franchise. Anyone above that, 95 to, let's just say 98. Let's just not even count 99 at the moment. Those can be your generational talents. So when you see someone coming up in the draft that's generational, that really should only happen once or twice every like 20 years or so, you know this guy is really, really special, even more so than the franchise. Obviously, a guy like McDavid, he would absolutely, in every sense of the way, be the probably biggest example of a generational talent. You have Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, absolutely. You could even throw Quinn Hughes in there. Again, it's tough with him and Makar. They're both so good and so similar. You could definitely make the argument. And maybe even Kucherov. Again, I probably lean more toward franchise for Kuch, just because of his all-around game. And, the defensive side isn't maybe up there as much. But you could, again, make that argument. And then you have guys like a Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, previous generational players that at this point in their career, still amazing players, but, being 37 years old, you probably shouldn't have the generational tag. And I don't know, I think there is room there. I think there's room that you can have something above franchise. I think there is a lot of franchise players in the NHL, and I think that's totally fair. But I think there is also those select few players that are just so special that they should come in, a little bit above that. And then you also know, like, guys coming up, like, perfect example here would be a guy like Gavin McKenna. He's going to be phenomenal. Obviously, brother of Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard, another conversation we can have. But you see Gavin McKenna coming up. Franchise potential. I think that's probably fair for a guy like him. I don't say right now he's generational, but he's going to be a very, very good prospect. And honestly, we can just look at it from first overall picks here from going back to 2012. Celebrating, too early to say. Bedard, I'd probably still keep him at a high franchise, maybe not generational yet. Slafkovsky, it's a tough one. I'd probably still go medium elite, same with a guy like Owen Power. Lafreniere, probably the same. He's looked better. Jack Hughes, I would definitely go franchise for him. Amazing player, probably not generational, but is a superstar in his own right. Honestly, Dahlin, you could make that argument for. Nico Hischier, probably fine at medium elite at this point. Obviously, then you go to Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. Matthews, I didn't even mention. You could absolutely make that argument as a generational player. Obviously, probably one of the best goal scorers, right up there with Ovi that we have ever seen. Again, we kind of have to have that line, though, too. Where do we cut off franchise to generational? It's a conversation for another day. McDavid, we already talked about, generational. Ekblad, probably still fine at elite. McKinnon, obviously have him at generational. And Yakupov, we should honestly probably come up with a new potential for him as well. But, like, you can go through all the first overall picks and you can kind of see the point I'm trying to make. There is still going to be that range of first overall picks, anywhere from, I always try and set guys at high elite if they're supposed to go first overall, and then you can kind of make the determination of, are they a franchise player, are they closer to a medium elite, and you can kind of see how that all plays out throughout their first couple of years and how they are adapting to the NHL. And then you also can go back in game here. We talked about Gavin McKenna, another guy coming up, Landon DuPont, just doing absolutely unheard of things as a defenseman there for the Everett Silvertips. Again, do you think he's going to be generational? Probably not, just because there is so few of those players. But it really does create that separation that I think for those top-end players is needed more in current games. But I don't know. That is just my idea here today. I did find it, interesting listening to 2BC talking about it, and I honestly think it is a pretty good idea, and he brings up some very good, very valid points. And I don't know. I'm very curious. What do you guys think of this potential change of adding generational players to NHL games? Again, it's a very small change. You're not going to see these players very often, but when you do know they are going to be the real deal. So that is going to do it for today's quick video. I will see you all in the next one.